The traffic on 3rd Mainland Bridge was choking as usual. Hawkers danced between cars, balancing pure water, plantain chips, and phone chargers on their heads. Emeka wasn't selling anything today. His camera hung from his neck, battered secondhand, a gift from a cousin who swore it was cursed because bad things always happened when he used it. Emeka liked cursed things. Cursed things had stories. The tinted SUV in front of him was too clean for the grime of Lagos. He crouched, lifted his camera, and through a crack in the back window, caught the shot. One careless second, one stolen frame. Tara Adebanjo, daughter of the minister, lips crushed against the mouth of a man who was not her fiancé. Emeka didn't mean to gasp, but he knew what that single photo could buy. Rent, food, his sister's school fees, maybe even a way out of Ojulegba. By evening, the picture had already burned a hole in his pocket. Not physically but in his mind. Blogs would kill for it. Politicians would bury for it. But Emeka, instead of selling, found himself outside the gates of Ikoyi, staring at the mansion where Tara lived. When the gate man finally let him in, after much shouting and threats of calling the police, Emeka didn't ask for money. He slid the photo across the marble table where Tara sat, trembling. "I'm not here for your father's bribe," he said, voice low, eyes steady. "Then what do you want?" she whispered. Emeka leaned back, the ghost of a smile tugging his lips. "Silence," he said. "Yours. Mine. And until I say otherwise, you belong to my world." Tara had never been inside a Molu. Her life was tinted glass, air-conditioned rides, and drivers who opened doors before her hand touched the handle. But that night, Emeka dragged her to Oshodi, where buses groaned like tired animals and conductors clung to doors with half their bodies dangling. "Climb," he ordered. She hesitated, the stench of sweat and engine oil making her gag. Someone shoved from behind. Her heels slipped on the iron step, but Emeka caught her arm. His grip wasn't gentle, but it was steady. Inside, the Molu was a furnace of bodies. A preacher shouted at the front about hellfire, while a hawker pressed gala into her lap, demanding payment. Tara wanted to scream. Emeka just laughed. "This is Lagos," he said. "No red carpets. Only red dust." She glared. "Why are you doing this to me? You think humiliation will make me beg?" He leaned close, voice soft enough that only she heard. "Your father's policies closed the factory my mother worked in. She sold Akara until her lungs collapsed. My father drank himself to death. My silence is a gift. You wear it when I tell you." Her throat tightened. For the first time she saw it, not mischief in his eyes, but rage sharpened into patience. The bus screeched to a stop. Rain had begun to fall, drumming on the rusted roof. Everyone cursed. Tara's geli slipped, her makeup streaked. She had never looked so human. Emeka handed her roasted corn from a roadside cellar, the kernels steaming in the wet air. She didn't eat corn. Not with manicured nails. Not with cameras watching. But tonight, there was only Emeka's silent dare and the storm. She bit into it. Hot, rough, sweet. Different. Emeka smiled for the first time. Not with kindness but with victory. By the third night, Tara stopped fighting Emeka's summons. Every time she tried to push him away, he would simply pull out the photograph and tilt it, reminding her how quickly one upload could end her father's career, her family's name, her wedding plans. But Emeka wasn't asking for money. He never once mentioned Naira. He wanted pieces of her that no one else demanded. "Say your real name," he told her as they sat at a buka in Surulere. Oil-stained benches, flies circling pepper soup, the smell of diesel and fried meat hanging heavy. "Tara," she muttered, arms folded. "Not the name from magazines," he said. "The name they call you in your mother's kitchen." Her chest tightened. Nobody outside her house knew that. "Omo Tara." He smiled faintly. "Good. You wear too many masks. I want the one underneath." She swallowed hard. "And what's your name then?" "Not Emeka the hawker. Not Emeka the petty blackmailer. The real one." His eyes darkened. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he dipped bread into pepper soup, steam curling into the night. When he finally spoke, it was low. My mother used to call me Aniki. It means, the one left behind. The words hung in the smoky air. For the first time, Tara realized this wasn't a game. His silence wasn't just a weapon. It was a wound. But the unpredictability of him unsettled her. Some nights he was cruel, dragging her through mud-slick streets, forcing her to sit with beggars under the Falomo Bridge. Other nights, like now, he gave her pieces of himself no one else would ever see. And Tara, who had always lived behind glass, felt the terrifying thing bloom in her chest. It wasn't pity. It was hunger. For him. Ikoyi to Ojulegba felt like falling from heaven to a pit. Tara's heels clicked against the muddy ground as Emeka led her through narrow alleys that smelled of kerosene, beans and sweat. Children played football with a plastic bottle, shouting until their laughter broke into coughing. "This is where you wanted me," she hissed. "No. This is where the world put me," Emeka replied. His room was a single space with peeling paint. A mattress lay flat on the floor, one side caved in. A kerosene lamp flickered, chasing shadows along the wall. And in the corner sat a girl, no older than 15, scribbling on a tattered exercise book. "Tara," Emeka said simply, "this is Ifeananya, my sister. The reason I haven't sold that picture yet." Ifeananya looked up, her eyes bright with suspicion, then curiosity. "She's fine," she said, in the blunt honesty of teenagers. Tara stood stiff, unused to being measured like an object. She lowered herself to the mattress, her designer skirt brushing the dusty floor. Emeka handed her a plate of beans and gari. There was no fork, no spoon. Just hands. Her chest burned. She wanted to throw it away, but Ifeanyanya's grin cut through her pride. So Tara scooped the beans with trembling fingers and ate. Hot, rough, filling. Different from the plated perfection in her mansion. For the first time, silence stretched between her and Emeka that wasn't blackmail. It was survival. Later that night, as Ifeananya snored softly in the corner, Tara lay awake on the mattress. She could smell the rain-soaked clothes hanging by the window. She could hear the faint rumble of traffic far away. And she realized she didn't feel trapped. She felt seen. Emeka's voice drifted from the darkness. "Now you know my silence isn't cheap." Her reply was a whisper, almost swallowed by the night. "And mine isn't either." The tabloids had begun to whisper. At first, it was nothing. A blurred photo of Tara at a roadside buka, grainy screenshots of her stepping off a molyu. Gossip blogs tagged it, "The minister's daughter goes street." Her father laughed it off in public, calling it Photoshop nonsense. But in private he demanded answers. Her fiancé, Folarin, wasn't laughing. He was the type who wore suspicion like cologne. Smooth, expensive, and impossible to ignore. When Tara told him she was going for choir practice, he hired a man with a motorbike and a camera to follow her. That night, Folarin's spy caught her. Not kissing, not holding hands, but walking through Ojulegba with Emeka, her geli loose, her laughter unpolished, her sandals splashing in puddles. It wasn't scandal yet, but it looked like freedom. And freedom was dangerous. Emeka noticed the shadow before Tara did. A man too still at the junction, his phone angled wrong. Instead of hiding, Emeka did the unthinkable. He reached for Tara's hand and tugged her into the glare of a roadside bulb. "Smile," he whispered. "What?" she gasped. He leaned close enough for the spy's camera to catch it, his arms circling her waist like they'd done it 100 times. Tara's heart thundered. She wanted to pull away, but her body betrayed her. She smiled. Not fake. Real. The next morning the blogs exploded. Adebanjo heiress spotted doing charity in Ojulegba. Photos of Tara with the poor, hand in hand with a mystery boy. Commenters fought over it, some praising her for connecting with the masses, others mocking her as attention-seeking. Her father was livid. Folarin was furious. And Tara. She was torn between rage at Emeka for using her, and something darker she didn't want to name. When she stormed into his room that evening, waving the newspaper, he only grinned. "Relax," Emeka said. "I just sold you silence again. This time for applause." Tara thought she was surviving Emeka's games. She ate the beans, rode the Molyu, endured the cameras. She believed the worst he could do was humiliate her. Until the night she followed him. He had told her to meet him at a mechanic's yard in Mushin. Grease-stained boys laughed around firelight, music blaring from a broken radio. Emeka moved through them like water, confident, known. But when he thought no one was watching, he slipped into a back room stacked with old tires. Tara's heels crunched gravel as she crept closer. Through a crack in the wood, she saw him slide a file across the table to a man in a dark shirt. Pages rustled, stamped with government crests. Figures. Contracts. Her stomach knotted. Those weren't scraps from Ojulegba. That was state paperwork. Her father's world. The man asked, "How did you get these?" Emeka's voice was flat. "Through her." Tara froze. It hit her like a slap. Every outing, every moment he dragged her into his chaos, it wasn't random. He had been maneuvering her. Through her ID cards, her access, her careless slips of information. She wasn't his victim. She was his key. When he emerged from the room, she was waiting, shaking. "You used me," she spat. His eyes flicked to her, unreadable. "I told you from the start, Omotara. My silence is not cheap." Tears stung her eyes. "This isn't about me at all. It's about destroying my father." Emeka stepped closer, so near she felt the heat of his breath. "And what if I told you destroying him is the only way I can live?" Her chest heaved. For the first time, Tara didn't know if she wanted to run or stay. Tara didn't remember how she ended up back in Emeka's room that night. The city had blurred into horns and dust until only his face anchored her. He sat by the window, shoulders tense, staring at the photo still pinned to the wall, the one of her and the stranger in the SUV. The weapon that began it all. "I hate you," she whispered. He didn't turn. "Good. Hate keeps you alive." The words split her chest. She had been dragged through dirt, stripped of her pride, used like a pawn. Yet every time she tried to cut free, she circled back. "Like now." Her voice trembled. "Then why does it feel like you're the only one who sees me?" That he turned. His eyes weren't mocking. They weren't vengeful. They were wounded, wide, as if she had said the one thing he wasn't prepared to hear. "You don't know what you're saying," he muttered. "I do." She stepped closer, her pulse loud in her ears. "I should hate you. But I don't. I want you." For a moment, silence burned between them, the kind that suffocates or saves. Then Emeka laughed, but it wasn't cruel. It was broken. "You don't love me," he said. "You love freedom. And I'm just your excuse to taste it." He ripped the photo from the wall and tossed it at her feet. "Take it. Go back to your glass house. Forget Ojulegba. Forget me." Tara bent, fingers brushing the photo, but she didn't pick it up. Instead, she looked at him, eyes wet, voice steady. "I can't forget you. Even if I wanted to." Emeka shut his eyes. For the first time, his silence wasn't power. It was surrender. The Adebanjo mansion was not built for silence. It was marble and echo, servants moving like shadows, her father's voice booming through corridors. But that night, Tara carried silence inside her like a stone. She had followed Emeka's trail, searching his room after he pushed her away. What she found wasn't just the photo. It was copies of documents, government contracts, stamped receipts of money swallowed whole. And then, the paper that made her blood run cold. A hospital record. Her father's ministry had shut down the factory. Dozens lost jobs. One woman, Emeka's mother, listed as respiratory failure after prolonged smoke inhalation. The date circled in red ink. Her father's policies hadn't just ruined lives. They had killed. Now she sat in the dining room as her father barked orders about shutting down the blogs and silencing That street rat. Tara's hand trembled around the paper hidden under her wrapper. Her father noticed. What's that? Nothing, she lied. But his gaze was sharp. You've been sneaking out. With him. That boy. Do you know what you've done to this family? Her throat tightened. She saw the flash of her mother's proud eyes, her fiancé's polished smile, the empire built on dirty bricks. And she saw Emika, broken but unbending, the only person who had dragged her out of her glass cage. Tara rose slowly. The paper slipped from her fingers onto the polished floor. Her father bent, picked it up, and for the first time his face went pale. Emika's voice echoed in her memory. My silence is not cheap. Her father's voice cracked the air. Where did you get this? Tara's lips parted. One word could save him. Another could destroy him. But she said nothing. She let silence answer for her.